So your free Skool community is growing and new free members are signing up all of the time, and yet nobody's buying. Your bank balance doesn't reflect the effort and the growth within the free community. In fact, nobody's engaging or even responding to your DMs. They're not commenting on posts. They don't even feel like they're reading posts. They're just lurking in the background, doing absolutely nothing. And you start to think, these bloody freebie seekers, all they do is show up, consume stuff for free. I put all this effort into it, and then they just leave and never come back and completely ignore me. But obviously, they're going to be freebie seekers. Of course, they're freebie seekers. We offer them something for free to come into our group. That's how we get them inside. So although it's frustrating, it's actually completely normal. And it's normally something that we're not doing inside our community to get them to activate. But the good news is that they actually had the pain or problem that you had in the first place. Otherwise, they wouldn't have signed up for your group and the free thing that the problem is that you actually fix. So the good news is they are a right match, but we just have to do things differently to get them to activate inside. Now, what most people do instead is they just start to post more and push harder, except more noise, more work, more content doesn't necessarily mean people are going to start to respond and people are going to start to activate. Now, obviously, we want to engage in our community. We want to produce relevant content and we do want to put the work into our group. But more doesn't mean more. We actually need a clear path to get people from A to B, to give them a quick win and to help guide them on that journey while they've got the momentum. And most people have the momentum in the beginning. It's often why new members come in and they just sink and disappear into the background and never come back. Because you need to understand that communities are chaos. Skool, if you've just joined Skool in general, well, you're learning a new platform. It might seem a bit overwhelming, but then we just drop them into a melting pot, which is a community. It's not a funnel. It's not a lead magnet. It is literally a community where you're dropping them inside. They see welcome posts. They see DMs. They see a whole feed of different things going on that might seem a bit overwhelming to get involved in. They see a classroom filled with content and they just think, wow, that's a lot. Maybe I'll come back later. Or they don't even know where to start. They see a welcome post, it points them in the right direction a bit, but they just don't take the action because they're not quite sure what to do and because it's very chaotic. So we have to bring order to that chaos. We have to be their guide to get them from A to B. Now, if you would like more help coming up with your plan for your community, I will link to our free group in the video description where you'll understand the basics of how this works and putting your actual plan in place. But I'm going to talk about a strategy in this video where I'm going to guide you through the process of what I would do in the short term to be able to get people to activate more within your community when they first come in, and more importantly, when they have that momentum, and how to get them a quick win. Now, I had a client that basically was doing just this. She had what felt like a dying community. And the first thing we need to understand is that a community might seem dead, but not all communities have to be massively active and passionate. They can often act like funnels towards your paid program. People just want to have a look around. Maybe they already know you from your content, and they don't necessarily want to get involved in a community. They just want to get the transformation and be led in the right direction to the right place. In this client, she basically had a community where she had a course in the classroom area that was a paid program. And then that led to calls. And basically she had a welcome post and she would do the odd post inside the community, and that was it. She ran ads to it and she just assumed that people would come in, consume some of the free stuff and just upgrade automatically. And it just didn't happen. She had a program that sat there for months with virtually no sales happening at all. Just nobody did anything. And this is also a curse that we're seeing with freemium. We also assumed that people would come inside, consume the free stuff, and when they finished that, they would naturally upgrade for the next step. They were ready for the next stage in the evolution on their progress. And it just didn't happen. People just didn't take the steps to upgrade. And we don't know why. We just think that doesn't make any sense because the next stage is the program, is the upgrade, is the tier. So what we have to do and what we have to realize is that it's on us to still guide people. We still have to push people through. And it wasn't till she started to implement DM systems, she started to follow up with people, she started to have emails going out. She also ran promotions and she actually marketed it. And suddenly when people saw the messages, they started to buy. And she went from 0 with the same offer to 5 figures within a couple of weeks once she started doing these things, because she already had the members inside. They just didn't feel the urgency or need to suddenly upgrade and to start buying. So it wasn't a different product that she actually did. She just refined the path and the stage that she took people through from when they first joined the community to then trying to get them to buy later on. So what often happens is that we start to look for problems in the wrong places. We start to think we have the wrong members and maybe our traffic is wrong. And sometimes that is true. The traffic is not aligned. But if they signed up for your free community and the free thing that you were offering, then chances are they were a match. They were interested. They did, at least loosely, have that problem. So it's not the wrong members. And the content is good enough because it got them to sign up. And obviously, if you've got your freebie in there and you can see if people are actually completing it, and if they are consuming the free stuff, then it's not the free stuff and it's not the content. And then we think, well, maybe the price is not a good match. Maybe we need to change that. Maybe we need to drop it or lower it. And it's not normally the case. Yes, you can improve your offer, but they would or should be at least engaging with you. So it's not normally the offer in that sense. Otherwise, you would be getting some type of response from them. The real problem is that we build signage and not a clear path. There are many different ways to look at this, but I like to think of it like asking where the toilets are in a restaurant. Because if you need the toilet when you're in the restaurant, you typically ask a staff member so that you don't get lost. Now, some people just get up and start walking around, hoping that they don't end up in the kitchen, and these are the people that will probably find your classroom and maybe, just maybe, buy your course. But the majority of us ask where the toilets are, we ask a member of staff, and we get guidance. So rather than just doing this inside your community, which is an overwhelming place, a little bit like a busy restaurant, we actually just put posts up, we put links, and we gently guide people, hoping like a toilet sign, someone will find it in a busy, crowded restaurant. So it has a sort of out of sight, out of mind mentality towards it. There's also the fact that there's no urgency to buy. So they don't have that momentum. And without the guidance, while they do have the momentum, we can't make that sale. And slowly they fade away until that momentum's gone. And it's going to be much harder to try to get them to take the action that you want. So we need to get to them in that moment in time. Now we can do this with promotions where you can actively try to drive urgency with price and offers and so on. And that works. But in the long term, we need to think of a way that we can tap into them and connect with them to be able to guide them through that process right from the beginning. And this is why the freemium model has such an activation problem where people just don't upgrade on their own. And it's because access doesn't create action. So you can have access to something, but it doesn't mean that you're going to take the desired action. And I think a gym membership is a classic example of this. You can pay for a gym membership, you can have a gym membership, but it doesn't mean that you're going to go. It doesn't mean that you're going to feel motivated to take the desired action. Typically, we're all lazy and we don't necessarily want to take action. Although we want the result or the transformation, it doesn't mean that we want to put the work into it. So we need some motivation, a little bit of pushing, a little bit of accountability, a little bit of guidance and motivation to get to do that thing. And that's why we hire trainers. It's why we often hire personal trainers, or we go to group sessions, because we want that extra level of guidance. So guidance moves people, access doesn't. Access is just getting people through the front door of the gym, but it doesn't mean they're actually going to do the workout inside. So let's talk about how you can potentially fix this free to paid gap in your system to build a guided path that will get them to take the desired action that you want. This is going to be a designed journey, not just based on hope like we were talking about before, where we're pointing them around the community in different directions. What we want to do is get them when they first join and try to start a conversation. Now, I know you're probably thinking, I've tried many ways to start a conversation. I DM them, I have an auto DM, I try to comment and get them to respond, I put posts out there, and people just don't take any interest. They don't do anything. Well, the point is they don't really know you yet. So we're going to have to do things in a bespoke way to begin with. We want to start a conversation and we want to give away free, valuable wins. We want to give them something that will fix their immediate problem, and it's going to be completely free and valuable to them. And it's also going to generate massive trust, which is even more important if you aren't coming from platforms like YouTube that build trust automatically for you. So we want to start a conversation in a way that we're going to be able to get them to, it's basically going to be so valuable that they want it. And just book a strategy call with me or a free call is not going to do it. Not normally. You'll have to have some touch points before. So it depends how the warming process is activating. So let's look at this in the sense that somebody had a mobility channel and they were teaching mobility so that people could get out of pain. People were having back pain. They were sitting a lot like I am now. They were getting lower back pain. And they basically were getting shoulder pain, and their mobility and stiffness was getting worse. And they were searching and watching videos that you created on this topic, and you were helping people with that. Now, you could have a 7-day challenge or something that might help them get out of pain relief, and then you could follow up with them to see if they would like an assessment at the end. Or perhaps something even more valuable, you could say, I'll give you a free assessment of how bad things are and what you need to do to get started to get out of pain. All you have to do is record a video of yourself and do these 3 different movements so I can assess your mobility to see where you're at and where you need to start. Now, that might be really valuable. Now, obviously, I don't understand this niche at all, so how you do things is different. But a free assessment of where you are and how bad it is might be very valuable to those people. And it doesn't have to be a call. You could send them a Loom video, a recorded video, giving them their free assessment. And then you could say, if you'd like to talk about it further, then book in a call here and let's have a chat. That is you giving them real value. That is them thinking, wow, you really over-delivered there. Another way of doing this is that we want to make sure we're doing the manual first. So obviously this valuable thing here is going to get them to want to take action. It's something that you want to offer them, but they can't just access. So that's something to be understanding there. Yes, you might have some free training in the group, but this is a free thing that you're going to give them that they have to ask for. They have to have a conversation with you to get that free thing. Now, this is where actually in the beginning where you're maybe doing a DM, maybe you've got the auto DM set up in Skool, you could do a Loom video or an audio video or even just write a bespoke welcome that really looks at the questions and the struggles that they have. This is a good opportunity to make sure that your questions are really on point and that they're actually pulling in some useful information for you to use. And then you can ask them the questions or talk to those points in the video. People will love and respond to a Loom video or something that's taken a little bit of effort from you. So when you do that, your response rate will go up dramatically. And all you need is that first conversation. A lot of people will thank you for that. They'll see the value and effort in that. And then you could offer the valuable thing to them. So this would spark the conversation. This would then also get that to happen. Now, you can automate these things later on, but we don't want to automate right away. We want to make sure that we're doing this manually to see what's working, and then we can automate later on. So again, how I would do this is I would obviously use their name, talk about their problem, and have a bespoke welcome, which will ideally be a Loom video if you can, which is Loom is basically where you can record videos on your screen or really quick videos, and you get a link and you can just send that to them in the DMs to welcome them. You reference the join questions and then try to give them one real piece of value in that. So you could offer them a little bit of a tip and say, based on what you were saying, I would potentially look towards this. But if you would like more information, then we can speak more on that. But this little nugget here is going to help you personally. And then the next part, as I was saying, was bridging to something valuable, something that's going to fix their struggle, the struggle that you found out about in the call. And as I was saying with the mobility example, that could be a free assessment, something that is going to help them identify that pain. So it may be that people don't realize what the problem is. They may be in different levels or they don't know how bad it is. So you assessing that is actually great for you to find out if they're a good match on a call in the first place, while then saying, oh, this is the thing, this is what I would do. Would you like help with that? Some people are going to say yes. Other people might go, no, I'll go and try those things that you said. And if I need help, I'll let you know. But it's been valuable. And that is a different way to actually do a call of some kind. And even if you've got a low ticket offer, and you think it's not worth doing calls, it really is. almost do an onboarding call before they've even bought, because this is an opportunity for you to get direct feedback from them. It's going to be much easier for you to convert. Yes, it's doing the unscalable, but think about the experience that they're going to have and how much more likely they are to buy. And then as you gain authority, as you get more proof, you're going to be able to automate more of these things later on. So that's what we do after that. We spot what converts, we maybe test a few different things, we then turn that into a sequence, and then we can automate based on what's proven, based on what actually worked. So what we often do is we try to race really quickly to automate things way too quickly. And by automation, I don't just mean like AI and automating it. I mean putting on the auto DM or manual follow-ups or automated emails or just being robotic in the way that we run the community and not personal. And it's the personal in the beginning that is going to bring you much better results. So with that said, I hope you found value in that. As always, if you would like help growing your Skool community, then you can join our free group that I will link to in the video description. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.